I never imagined my life could change so drastically in just one night. It started as a playful bet, something my wife tossed casually across the dinner table, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "I bet you couldn't pull off being the girl of my dreams," she teased, laughing softly. I laughed too, thinking it was just another one of her jokes. But there was something in her tone, something that sent a shiver of curiosity and fear down my spine. "Okay," I said, trying to sound confident. "And what exactly does that mean?" She leaned forward, her smile coy, and whispered, "I want to see you, really see you, as me." The words hit me like a lightning bolt. My mind raced. Me? As her dream girl? I had always admired the feminine grace she carried so effortlessly, the way she moved, laughed, and owned every space she walked into. And now she was daring me to step into that world, to become someone I had never been. At least not in public, not fully. My heart hammered in my chest. Excitement, terror, and curiosity tangled into a knot I couldn't untie. Later that night, alone in our bedroom, I stood in front of the mirror and traced my fingers over my reflection. The idea that I could transform, to wear the clothes, the makeup, the persona that she found irresistible, felt impossible, yet thrilling. My pulse quickened as I imagined the challenge, heels clicking against the floor, skirts swaying, hair cascading perfectly over my shoulders. I had never tried this before, never dared to explore the feminine side lurking quietly beneath my usual self. The first step was terrifying. I dug through her wardrobe, selecting a silky dress that felt soft under my fingertips. The smell of her perfume lingered on the fabric, making my stomach twist in a strange mixture of longing and embarrassment. As I slipped the dress over my body, the fabric clinging to curves I didn't fully recognize as mine, I felt a surge of vulnerability so intense it almost made me dizzy. Standing in front of the mirror, I barely recognized myself. My hands shook as I touched my cheeks, imagining the way she would look at me. When she returned from the kitchen with a glass of wine, I froze, my heart racing. Her eyes widened, lips parting in genuine surprise. "Wow," she breathed, taking a slow step closer. I could barely meet her gaze, my face flushed hot with embarrassment. "You actually did it," she whispered, circling me slowly, her fingers grazing my shoulder, my hair. "You're perfect." And in that moment, something inside me shifted. The shock of her admiration, the thrill of stepping into this new identity, it was intoxicating. I felt a rush of exhilaration, tinged with fear. Could I really carry this persona beyond the walls of our bedroom? Could I live as someone else, even if just for her, or perhaps, even for myself? The following days were chaotic in the best and worst ways. At work, my mind was constantly elsewhere, replaying that night over and over. I caught myself imagining how I might look, how my voice might sound if I let it soften just slightly. I tried to focus on spreadsheets and emails, but every glance in a reflective surface, a window, a coffee cup, a computer screen, pulled me back to that image of myself in her dress. One morning, my coworker, Jenna, glanced at me strangely. "You've been different lately," she said, curiosity lacing her tone. I laughed nervously, brushing it off, but inside I felt a twinge of fear. What if someone noticed? What if my private transformation, this secret game with my wife, somehow slipped into the outside world? Even at home, simple interactions became electric. My wife would casually mention a lipstick shade she loved, a pair of earrings she found sexy, and I found myself instinctively imagining myself wearing them, feeling the silk, the glint, the way the accessories would enhance this new version of me. It was both thrilling and terrifying, blurring the line between playful bet and genuine transformation. Some nights, I would sit alone, staring at my reflection, trying out soft lip colors, experimenting with eyeliner, adjusting the fit of a borrowed dress. Each tiny experiment, the way the fabric felt against my skin, the way my hair fell just so, the subtle tilt of my hips, was a revelation. My mind buzzed with excitement. I could see it forming slowly, a new version of myself, daring, feminine, and alive in ways I had never experienced before. The first time I ventured outside in partial disguise was nerve-wracking. I wore a flowing blouse and fitted jeans, borrowed from her wardrobe, my hair cascading over my shoulders. I practiced my walk repeatedly before leaving the house, heels clicking softly, posture straight, shoulders back. My heart raced as I stepped onto the sidewalk, every passerby's gaze feeling magnified. At the coffee shop, I stuttered over my words slightly, feeling self-conscious, yet thrilled. The barista smiled, handing me my latte with a cheerful, "Enjoy your day," and I realized, this was different. This version of me could exist in the world, not just in private fantasies. I even caught my reflection in the shop window and did a double take. There she was, my wife's dream girl, but also, somehow, mine. Over the next few weeks, I experimented more boldly. Dresses, makeup, soft perfumes. I immersed myself fully in this exploration. I learned the nuances of feminine movement, practiced tilting my head when speaking, learned to laugh lightly, naturally. Every small victory in the mirror brought a rush of confidence. And the thrill wasn't just in the reflection, it was in the moments with her, when she would watch, eyes wide with admiration, whispering, "You're incredible." That admiration became addictive, fueling my curiosity and pushing me further. But life has a way of testing even the most exhilarating experiments. One afternoon, while trying on a new dress in our living room, my neighbor unexpectedly knocked on the door. My heart stopped. I scrambled to cover myself, fumbling for something to throw over the outfit. When I opened the door, her eyes widened, a faint smile on her lips. "Oh, I didn't mean to," she began, but I stopped her with a nervous laugh. "No worries, just trying something new." Her chuckle was light, teasing, yet kind. "Well, you're very convincing." I felt my cheeks burn, not with shame, but with a strange, intoxicating pride. That small, outside acknowledgement reinforced what I was beginning to realize. This was more than a bet. This was a journey of discovery, of confidence, of transformation. Weekends became opportunities for public experimentation. Shopping trips, casual dinners, even a night out at a bar, each experience stretched my comfort zone. I learned to navigate whispers, subtle stares, occasional awkward comments, but also discovered compliments, smiles, and moments of genuine connection. I realized something profound. Stepping fully into this identity wasn't just a performance, it was liberating. Then came the ultimate challenge, a party with friends, where I would attend fully as my wife's dream girl. My anxiety was off the charts. I practiced for hours in front of the mirror, adjusting my makeup, brushing my hair, tweaking my outfit. When she looked at me and whispered, "You're perfect," my stomach fluttered, a mix of nerves and exhilaration. Walking into the party, I felt every gaze on me. Whispers followed, some curious, some admiring. My pulse raced, but I forced myself to move confidently, smile naturally, engage with friends. And something magical happened. People treated me differently, not just noticing my appearance, but responding to my energy, my presence. My wife's hand found mine, squeezing it gently, and I realized I wasn't just fulfilling her fantasy anymore. I was embracing mine. A friend approached, eyes wide. "Wow, you look amazing," she said. My heart soared. I felt seen, validated, empowered. For the first time, I truly understood the thrill of inhabiting this identity fully, in public, with confidence and joy. The night continued in a blur of laughter, dancing, and playful teasing. My wife leaned close, whispering, "I never imagined you could pull this off, but you've exceeded every expectation." And in that moment, every ounce of fear, every nervous hour in front of the mirror, every uncertain step outside, it all melted away. I was transformed, not just externally, but internally. Returning home later, alone for a quiet moment, I stared in the mirror. This wasn't just a temporary game, a bet, or a performance. It was me. I had discovered strength, confidence, and a side of myself I hadn't known existed. My hands traced the curves, the lines, the delicate details of my appearance. I whispered softly, almost in awe, I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am me." Life hadn't just changed, I had changed. And in that transformation, I had found something deeper than admiration or excitement. I had found authenticity, courage, and freedom. To anyone listening, anyone watching, anyone who has ever wondered what it might feel like to step into someone else's shoes, to explore a new version of themselves, fear is natural, curiosity is a gift, and courage is the path to discovering who you truly are. I am no longer just my wife's playful challenge. I am her dream girl, yes, but more importantly, I am my own. And that truth is intoxicating. The weeks after that first big party were exhilarating, but also full of challenges I hadn't anticipated. Once the novelty of the game settled, I began to confront something far more profound. This wasn't just a bet anymore. I was discovering a side of myself that had always been quiet, hidden, waiting for permission to come out. And now, every glance, every outfit, every whispered compliment from my wife made me realize I could step further, and I wanted to. It started small. I borrowed more of her clothes, skirts, blouses, even a pair of soft heels that made me wobble at first. I practiced walking in them around the apartment, trying to find a rhythm that felt natural. My reflection in the mirror became my closest confidant. I would spend hours adjusting eyeliner, experimenting with lipstick shades, and learning subtle expressions, soft smiles, playful eyebrow lifts, the tilt of my head when speaking. Every detail mattered, and every detail thrilled me. One night, after she had gone to bed, I tried something bolder, her long, flowing dress with a deep neckline, paired with heels that clicked sharply against the hardwood floor. I twirled in front of the mirror, feeling the fabric sway around my legs. My hands smoothed over the soft material, my fingers brushing against the silky texture as I imagined her eyes on me. I couldn't believe how alive it made me feel. There was a heady mix of fear and excitement, of vulnerability and power. The next step was public, terrifying, yet irresistible. I chose a quiet cafe nearby, thinking it would be the safest place to test myself outside the apartment. My hands shook as I adjusted my dress, my hair falling perfectly over my shoulders. Each step toward the door felt monumental. I held my chest high, forced my shoulders back, and tried to move naturally, like the confident woman I was beginning to feel inside. Inside, the world didn't explode, it whispered. Glances followed me, subtle but undeniable. The barista smiled warmly as she handed me my latte. "Looking lovely today," she said casually, and my heart skipped. I realized how intoxicating these small recognitions could be. Even a stranger's kindness felt monumental, validating, like a secret reward for stepping out of my comfort zone. Encouraged, I began venturing further. Shopping trips, short dinners, walks in the park, each outing was a chance to inhabit this new identity more fully. I experimented with soft perfumes, delicate accessories, and even subtle ways of speaking, softening my voice to match the persona I was cultivating. Every interaction, no matter how minor, became a lesson in presence, poise, and courage. But the world has a way of testing you. One afternoon, as I was leaving a boutique, I overheard a passerby mutter, "Is that really him?" My stomach dropped. Fear surged, old insecurities clawing at me. I froze for a heartbeat, unsure whether to retreat, to explain, to hide. Then, I remembered every practice session, every tiny victory in front of the mirror, every encouraging word from my wife. I straightened, held my head high, and walked past with quiet confidence. Their whispers didn't define me, my presence did. Returning home, I felt a strange mix of triumph and relief. Alone, I allowed myself a private celebration, twirling in front of the mirror, adjusting my dress, testing new expressions. The adrenaline had faded, replaced by a quiet, deep sense of empowerment. This was no longer just a playful bet. It was me claiming space, discovering who I could be, and daring the world to see me as I wanted. Weekends became my laboratory. I tried bold outfits, explored hairstyles I had never dared, and experimented with different shades of lipstick, watching carefully in the mirror as my features transformed. I discovered subtle power in gestures, how a wrist flick could command attention, how a soft laugh could soften a tense room, how tilting my head could draw people closer. Each experiment was both playful and profound, a lesson in femininity and confidence I had never imagined I could learn. The next milestone came with an invitation to a friend's dinner party. My anxiety skyrocketed as I selected my outfit, a fitted, elegant dress that hugged my curves in all the right places, paired with heels that made me wobble nervously. My wife's eyes lit up when she saw me. "You're perfect," she whispered, her lips brushing my ear. I felt her excitement mix with my own, a heady combination of fear and exhilaration. At the party, every step was a test. Whispers followed me, glances lingered, but this time I didn't shrink. I smiled, engaged in conversation, laughed softly, and moved with a rhythm I was beginning to claim as my own. People responded, not just to my appearance, but to the energy I carried. I felt seen, validated, and alive in ways I had never experienced before. Then came the moment of ultimate confrontation. A colleague, someone I had known in my old life, approached me. Their eyes widened, surprise evident. "Wow, this is incredible," they stammered. My heart raced. I could feel old fears rising: judgment, disbelief, ridicule. But then I looked at them, and I saw curiosity and respect in their eyes. I realized I had a choice: retreat to safety, or fully embrace the person I had become. I chose the latter. "I'm me," I said softly, confidently. "And I'm proud of it." The relief was immediate. Their expression softened, a smile spreading slowly. It wasn't just acceptance, it was recognition. And in that recognition, I found something I hadn't realized I was seeking: empowerment, not just from private experiments or playful bets, but from being fully seen in the world. In the weeks that followed, I pushed further. Social outings became bolder, fashion experiments more daring, and my confidence grew. I joined a small local group of women exploring similar transformations, finding guidance, encouragement, and solidarity. Shared experiences became lessons in courage and authenticity. For the first time, I realized this wasn't a game, a challenge, or a flotation. It was life, a life I was stepping into fully. The climax of this journey arrived unexpectedly, at a large family gathering. I chose a bold, elegant dress, the kind that demanded attention, paired with heels that made my legs feel endless. My wife squeezed my hand as we arrived, her eyes sparkling with pride. Family members whispered, stared, and some even gasped, but I walked confidently, holding my head high. Throughout the night, I was met with curiosity, admiration, and sometimes hesitation. I navigated conversations, laughs, and shared meals with poise. When my mother whispered, "You look so happy," tears prickled my eyes. I realized this wasn't just about appearance, it was about claiming joy, confidence, and authenticity. By the end of the evening, I felt fully transformed, not just externally, but internally. I had faced fear, embarrassment, and judgment. I had experimented, faltered, learned, and ultimately embraced the woman I could be. My wife's playful bet had become a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and authenticity. Returning home, I looked in the mirror one last time before bed. The reflection staring back at me was radiant, confident, fully alive. I whispered softly, almost reverently, "I am her dream girl, but more importantly, I am myself." And in that quiet moment, I understood the truth. Transformation isn't just about appearances, bets, or experiments. It's about courage, curiosity, and the willingness to embrace yourself fully, even when it terrifies you. I had discovered not only a new identity, but a new strength, a new freedom, and a new love for myself. To anyone watching, anyone imagining a transformation, anyone hesitant to explore, fear is natural, but curiosity is your guide, and courage will lead you to the most authentic version of yourself. I am no longer just my wife's playful challenge. I am her dream girl, yes, but most importantly, I am fully, unapologetically, undeniably me. And that is intoxicating.